Hi, and welcome back to Plan9Crunch. He's Doug Gibson, I'm Joe
Hello.
Gibson. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Kharis movies, but also Mummy as a whole. So Kharis is the second main Universal Mummy. He had 4 movies: The Mummy's Hand, The Mummy's Tomb, The Mummy's Ghost, The Mummy's Curse. And I'm going to be ranking them. I'm going to give you a chance to rank them. I'm not sure. It's difficult to rank them, but I think you might have some thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm.
And how about you take that off for a second?
Take what off?
Take off on those thoughts, sorry.
Oh, I think the Kharis films are more iconic today than even Boris Karloff's Imhotep, which is a superb movie, probably better than any of the Kharis films. But you notice that Hammer took Kharis. They didn't take Imhotep. I don't believe they did. Strike me dead if they did. But I know that the original Mummy had Kharis. And so Kharis has become an iconic character, and we need to thank Tom Tyler and Lon Chaney Jr. A friend of mine, we interviewed Bill Fleck recently, told me he thought of the Kharis mummy movies almost as like the Halloween movies to some degree, because you have this faceless monster that doesn't speak. But go on, Joe.
Well, I agree with that. When I reviewed The Mummy's Tomb specifically, I compared it to a proto-slasher movie. Using the Wikipedia page of what slashers entail, there's a whole lot more to the study of slasher movies, but I do think that Kharis does slot nicely into that. He always is coming back based on the previous film, based on previous sins, trying to weed out the survivors and all that stuff. But like, I would rank the Kharis films probably with Ghost. The Mummy's Ghost is the best one. I just think it's the most even one. There's the least things that I would change. There's a degree of subjectivity here, more so than like my other reviews. But like, Mummy's Ghost, I subjectively really like. I think it's a very strong movie that I wouldn't change anything personally. Then Mummy's Tomb, I think I really like the slasher format. I would just keep Babe around longer, like personally. I think that there's a lot more you can do with Babe in that movie. Then The Mummy's Hand, I think is a really fun adventure movie that it might be a proto version of the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies possibly. And then you got Mummy's Curse, it's a cash grab sequel that I enjoy, but I would have kept Cajun Joe as the lead. And what's your ranking?
Mummy's Hand is the best, Joe. Okay, it's just the most. That's like a real movie where you don't have to suspend disbelief. Okay. And Tom Tyler, I don't know if it was his acting ability or putting those black holes in his eyes. He is the one mummy character. And I'm not knocking Chaney. He's good in his role. But Tyler freaks me out more than any other mummy.
Yeah, I'll respond to that.
I'm just gonna go through I think the second one's second best, the third's the third best, and the fourth is the fourth best. That's my take.
All right, we at least agree that Tomb is second best and Curse is the worst. Okay. In terms of I suspend disbelief in the first movie in a way that I don't think that I should, because Dr. Petrie is the expert on these runes and uncovering the stuff and deciphering the stuff. But then the love interest, Marta, proves capable of doing that in the third act for no reason. Never is it established that she knew how to do that, but once Petrie dies, it's like she becomes Petrie to deliver exposition and whatnot. Other than that, it's a very strong movie. I just have like the one foundational issue with it. Tom Tyler, he was served up a better role here, because from Tomb onward, they wanted to show that Kharis had sustained fire damage. I don't know why they did that, because it made it so much harder for Chaney to emote in the makeup when you also put the fire damage on him. All he could use was his hand and like the way he's moving, the direction he's moving in. Chaney's a superb actor, I think, as Larry Talbot, and I think he could have been great as Kharis.
Well, there's a lot of controversy over Chaney doing the mummy roles. He didn't enjoy them. He did a good job. Chaney had screen presence. You can see him in as bad a movie as The Female Bunch, and he still has screen presence. And so he was a trooper, but he was very disappointed in this time period because Universal did not cast him in films he felt he should have had a shot at. And one primarily was the remake of Phantom of the Opera, which he didn't get, which he thought he would get. I think Chaney does an adequate job. I will say something about Mummy's. Is the Mummy's Curse the third one, right?
Mummy's Curse is the fourth one.
Oh, Mummy's what's it called?
Ghost.
Mummy's Ghost. I do like the ending in the Mummy's Ghost. I think it's creepy of him and the young woman who has now become ancient going into the swamp.
Yeah. It's a very effective downer ending. I think it's a strong. I think I know the reason why you wanted Ghost to be the fourth movie and Curse to be the third. It's because of the Frankenstein series, where Ghost of Frankenstein was the fourth one.
Maybe.
That's why I always mess it up, because I feel like Ghost should be the fourth one if we're doing Frankenstein, but no, if we're doing Cars, it's the third one. I wanted to also ask you, unless you have something else to say.
No, go on.
I wanted to also ask you, who is your favorite mummy overall? Like your favorite mummy to ever do it?
I look, even though I don't watch the film as much as I watch the Kharis films, I think Boris Karloff is the best actor to portray these roles. I think Christopher Lee is pretty good, although Christopher Lee is a lot like Lon Chaney in the sense he doesn't talk or speak or anything. To be fair, nobody does except Karloff, so maybe I've got... But I just thought Karloff did a really great job in The Mummy. But if you're asking the best mummy, I think I said I thought Tyler was.
Okay.
And that's not knocking Christopher Lee or Lon Chaney Jr. They do good jobs too.
I hear what you're saying. I respect the talent of Boris Karloff a lot. I just would go a little bit more modern with this. I think that Arnold Vosloo's Imhotep was the best one to ever do it.
Are you talking about the ones with Brendan Fraser?
The one with Brendan Fraser, yeah.
I like those movies. I saw them in the theaters. I haven't seen them since. I need to watch them
Arnold
again
Vosloo
sometime.
is a really talented actor. He has that presence, but also a pathos. You know, you buy the tortured soul part of his Imhotep.
Oh, we can all go to the
lover
Sexiest
thing.
Mummy and the Worst Mummy movie. We know what that one was.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Sexy Mummy.
Oh, you mean
that
Sophia
crappy
Boutella,
movie.
the Boutella, the female mummy. Okay, yeah.
That was a terrible movie, and it's living proof that you should not have a major Hollywood star who is iconic everywhere and plays totally different roles try to anchor a horror film. It's not a good idea.
Well, specifically, he's an action hero.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård has a lot of different roles. He anchored.
Yeah, but Bill
Nosferatu.
Skarsgård is not as big as Tom Cruise.
Okay, that's
Tom
true.
Cruise is like Clark Gable, all right, type of thing. And we're talking one of the top biggest stars of all time, and that's just a fact. You can
Yeah.
argue whether you like him or not. And putting him in The Mummy made it a Tom Cruise movie and not a Mummy movie.
Yeah. I was going to review that a little bit ago, but it wasn't on anything for free. I don't want to pay money for that movie. So, yeah, so we have our favorite, we have our least favorite mummy movies, and we've talked about Kharis in between. Is there anything else to say?
I think the Kharis movies get better or get more respect every decade. They're just, the continuity is horrible. There's an old magazine article in Cult Movies. I have to show it to you sometime. It was continuity in the Kharis mummy movies. I can't remember the title of the guy. Talked to him once. I'm not going to say the name because a name that's coming to mind might not be it. But despite the horrendous continuity, despite moving ahead 60 years or 50 years, and it's still like the 1930s and 20s, despite everything, the movies work because they have the lean, mean, Universal writing. That's the difference between Universal films for a while and the monogram films. We love monogram movies, but the writing is convoluted. And you have plots going left and right 20 and 30 ways. We may love that in 2020 and say, hey, this is really cool. How bizarre, for example, Bowery at Midnight is. And I know a lot of people think Bowery at Midnight's a classic. I love it too. But it is so hyperbolic, going in left ways, this way. The Universal films, the mummies in particular, had lean, mean plots. And they're entertaining. It's a great way to spend an hour. They're over before you know it.
Yeah, I will clarify the continuity thing is that The Mummy's Hand came out in 1940, and while nothing says in the movie that it is 1940 in the dialogue, there is like a moment where you see the partnership between Bannon and Silvani, that it was May 1940. It's when the movie was filming.
Well, he's an old man in the second movie.
Yeah, so
already.
there's what was it, 30 or 40 years between movies?
It goes far. And then what's really weird is...
World War II is still happening in The Mummy's Ghost, though. Sorry, The Mummy's Tomb.
It's just bizarre. It's bizarre because...
And then you go another 30 years,
John,
7 years.
Is his name Banner?
Banning. I
Banning
believe.
is like an old man in that movie. And then they fall into a swamp I don't know exactly where, but the East Coast.
Mapleton, Massachusetts.
And come up in a swamp in Louisiana. Now, you just can't do that. So you have to suspend your disbelief, but they are lean, mean plot movies. They all follow along the same lines. He targets himself on one woman. There's some priests that are keeping alive with the tanna leaves, and then the priests end up usually for lust reasons, end up being killed, and Lon Chaney grabs the woman and he takes her down. at the end. I find them. I can watch those in the afternoon and just enjoy them.
Yeah. As far as the B grade Universal Entertainment, a lot better than the Invisible Man sequels.
The Invisible Man sequels, some were good, but a lot of them were campy, like Invisible Woman. A lot of them were propaganda, like Invisible Agent, which is a film I enjoy quite a bit.
Well, they just go off in different
The
directions.
ones with Price and the other guy who also played an agent are a little bit dark for me.
Yeah. It was like a young Price. He wasn't quite the voice that we know him to be.
Who is the actor who's in Agent and also...
I want to say John Hall, but I do not
It
know
is
for
John
sure.
Hall.
Okay.
It's John Hall. Yeah, he plays a entirely different character in one. One thing that's interesting, people don't know this, is if you watch a mediocre Abbott and Costello film with the Invisible Man one, which involves a boxer, if you go into an office, you will see a picture of Claude Rains.
That was odd. Yeah.
So they were trying for some continuity there, actually.
They were, but then they also have Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, where Vincent Price is yet again the Invisible Man.
Well, that's
for
what's called a
cameo.
blackout gag at the end, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
You can argue that there were Invisible Mans included among the monsters, but it's just a typical Abbott and Costello. It's a very funny gag, too, to end the movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, we might have said all there is to say right now.
Oh, there's a lot more to say about these
That's
movies,
true.
but we can wrap up now. So you want to go and do it, Joe, right now?
Sure. We are Plan9Crunch. You can see us on TikTok, YouTube, where you're watching this right now. There's also Plan9Crunch.com, our blog, and there's the Plan9Crunch podcast and blog Facebook group that you can look at. Do whatever you wish with us, and that's a wrap.